Hey, welcome to Long Time Podcast. It's been a while, but we're back to talk about the end of the spring 2018 season and what shows we ended up finishing. Stuff like the super cool and stylish Megalobox, as well as Hinamatsuri that just had us laughing our asses off. Well, I mean, hot dang, there was something for everyone. So let's strap in and just get into it.
Did we want to maybe start with Megalobox? Since
That's like
it
the only one off we got, so here we go.
Yeah, it has the lowest completion rate out of the three of us.
Lowest completion rate.
How far did you get in it?
I got about 4 episodes.
I got about 4 minutes.
Oh man.
Gosh. Was there a particular reason why you did 4 minutes and you're like,
No.
okay, I'm done? Or
No. Honestly, it was just, I started it up and I was like, yeah, okay. This is okay, I could get into this, and then I got interrupted, so.
Oh, okay.
It just, I'll watch it eventually, whatever.
Gosh, I need water. I genuinely really enjoyed Megalobox. That was a fucking a fun ride throughout the entire thing. It's everything that you expect it to be. It's not really gonna make you lose your mind with interesting plot twists or anything like that. It is a boxing anime, start from the bottom, work your way to the top, through and through. And then it's there are interesting little twists and turns, but you can clearly see them coming from a fucking mile away. But that's not really what matters, because it tells its story so fucking well, and the characters are just so enjoyable. And as super bro macho as the story is, it handles itself very well, and I think it handles its characters very well in that way.
Yeah, from the few episodes that I got to watch of it, it was quite competent in how it introduced us to its world and built it kind of from the ground up. And you're very much right in that everything is pretty solidly telegraphed. It's not difficult to see the twists and turns that the show does take, again, from the brief bit that I was able to watch. But, I mean, yeah, it handles its cast of characters well. They're interesting and diverse, though they are characters we have seen before, different iterations of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they're not exactly breaking any new ground, but it's like you say, it is very competent in how it puts together its kind of rags to riches underdog story.
And to be fair to Megalobox, I mean, it's based off of, I think it's called Kanojo was the original.
Kanojo,
yeah. Which was the OG boxing anime, and one of the original boxing anything that I could find, whether it was a TV show, a movie, or whatever. Because it's actually pretty old. It's from the 60s, I think.
Yeah, because I mean,
Megalobox
came out as a 50th anniversary thing.
Yeah, so it must have been 68 then. So, yeah, I mean, it's taking its original story and then just doing interesting things with it. So, it's not necessarily going to try and deviate too much if it's supposed to be a celebration, a 50th anniversary celebration. That said, I haven't seen the original series. I'm just taking a guess that given how, typical the plot is for Megalobox, that I assume it's basing itself off of its original work in that way.
Sure, yeah.
But I did genuinely enjoy this. For one thing, we've talked about this before, but the style of the show is just fucking amazing. When it comes to just the gritty version of the future that we have here, the interesting way that it explains its world and this not too distant future that it's coming from. I enjoy that very much. I enjoy that a lot of the characters are not. There's a lot of them that aren't necessarily I mean, I guess they are tropes, but they're at least done well in what they're trying to do. And I enjoyed that the interactions between characters as much machismo machismo, as there is for this show. Like everybody just trying to like one up each other and have a lot of braggadocio, because it's like it kind of makes sense because that's
what are all these words you're saying?
Braggadocio, bragging.
Oh.
Yeah. It's
okay.
It's makes sense. I mean, it's a boxing thing. Like that's what boxers do all the time.
I don't know anything about boxing.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
It's a part of. It's kind of in real life. It's part of the show before a match that they like trash talk each other and shit on each other and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. So that's the term for it. I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But in this one, I appreciated that they treated the characters with a lot of respect, and as much as they're like, I'm gonna fucking knock you out, like after the match, a lot of the time they're not. A lot of the characters that Joe faces off against aren't like douchebags or something like that. They're like genuinely good dudes. It's just Joe got the better of them.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed that. They even spent, it's a bit of a spoiler, but they spent a whole arc going over Joe's coach. He had a previous person who had to go off to war in some war that was going on, and suffers from PTSD. And they have this whole thing like on his showing his side of the story rather than focusing on Joe, and talking about this character and like trying to do a really good job of showing that this is a good person. They're just going through a very tough time.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was really cool to see them do that. I was very happy with that. And even going towards the end, there wasn't too many things about the plot or anything like that I would say, I just don't like it, or that was dumb. Everything that they did competently, and I appreciated that. I will say the last 4 fights, or the last 4 people that they had in the show, gosh, they were a fucking running stereotype, though. It was so bad. It was like I was like playing Punch-Out all over again. Because they had
like some piston Honda shit.
Yeah, they had I can't remember his name, but they had some Spanish dude. And he was from Spain, and he was like oozing like Spanish stereotype. And then they
Did he have like a rose in his mouth or some shit?
Almost. He legit almost. It was so bad.
What do you mean almost? What do you mean almost?
His outfit and the way that he held himself and like everything like that. It was so good. And then they did this for all of these characters. But he spoke Spanish throughout the entire thing, and I know a little bit of Spanish, and like some of the shit that they gave you subtitles, but it's like a loose translation, and some of the shit that he said, it was just so gosh dang funny how like how stereotypical it was. It wasn't like horribly racist. It was just like, oh, okay. Like the same thing for the American. Like the American comes into the heads up to the ring on in the back of a fucking monster truck, like waving flags.
Oh, lovely. All right,
it's fucking great.
Gotcha.
I gotta give props, by the way, to the voice actor that they got for the American. I mean, he only had like 5 lines, but he spoke English, and he actually did all of his lines incredibly confidently. Like, mad props for his direction. He did a good job with it. They gave him a shitty script because, I mean, it's an odd translation whenever it's like, we want you to be big and tough, so here's what an English person, or here's what an American would say, and then you look at the script and you're like, that is not at all what we would say. Like, I'm gonna knock you out, idiot. Like, that is not at all what we would say. But they did a really, really good job of just like, there were stereotypes, but at the same time, they showed that all of these characters were competitive. They deserved to be in this Final Four. They were intelligent, and they were also not douchebags. None of them. Even the American was not a douchebag. As super American as his introduction was in the fucking monster truck. But I appreciated that there was a lot of like respect within the sport. I appreciated that.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Anyways, it's a really good show. The plot, as much as I say that it's a typical plot, it's a very enjoyable plot. It was fun the entire time. I may have known what was happening ahead of time. Didn't matter. I was having just a fucking blast. And then I think the soundtrack finally came out for this show. Highly, highly recommended. Apparently they got a bunch of... Somebody did an article on it. I can't remember. We shared it on our site.
That's kind of bad that we can't remember that.
It was a YouTube video. It was
that was
Mark from Ono Anime.
Yeah, that's who it was.
Yeah, he did a really good deep dive of behind the music of Megalobox, because they had a specific dude who's very well known in Japan for being a big name in the hip hop and like indie rap scene in Japan. It was really cool to see stuff about him. But they also got a female artist. She's a woman that is just like really good at spit and rhyme, and has won a bunch of I can't remember what they're called, but it's kind of where you just improv all your lyrics for the entire thing. She like won multiple tournaments, and she did some of the music for this, and then they worked with a couple of other people on this soundtrack, and it shows. All these people are incredibly talented, and this soundtrack is one of the best fucking things I've heard out of an anime in a very long time. So, even if you don't enjoy the show, absolutely get the soundtrack a listen. It's fantastic. I love it so much. But yeah.
I can get behind that.
It was a fun pick.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I could add something, but I can't.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's just how it is, my man.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next thing, because we didn't get a chance to actually watch too much, but like what's something that you guys want to talk about?
Well, we've got Hinamatsuri and we have Real Girl. I have more positive things to say about Hinamatsuri. I have some words for Real Girl.
Do you want to get into your words and then we can end on Hinamatsuri?
I don't know. Like, what are you guys feeling?
Let's get into 3D Kanojo, because I just finished it up, and so I want to hear what you guys have to say about it.
A question before we do that. Did anyone finish Hisamaso? Did anyone even progress with that at all?
I got the first episode, man. I wish I could have seen more.
I didn't get past like halfway in the first episode. Not for any, again, legit reason. Just
time.
I watched the first episode. I think I started the second episode. And yeah, I ran out of time. Unfortunately, that was an issue for all three of us this time around. But yeah, I had no reason to like not continue it. I loved it. Yeah. I was actually surprised because for some reason, I had it in my head that this was going to be a 2-core. I don't know why, but it turned out it was only 12 episodes, and that just surprised me. I was like, oh fuck, I should have spent some time like watching this show then.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like everything that I saw, granted it was 1.5-ish episodes, everything I saw I enjoyed immensely. I've heard that it got a little weird going forward, not in a bad way, just like, but I mean, to be fair, like the basis for this is dragons eat people, and then we just chill in their stomachs and drive them around by like punching the stomach wall. So
yeah.
It's got some interesting fore aspects, but okay.
So
we did not have to bring that into the cast, and you have soiled this all.
You're off the podcast.
Handshakers.
Oh,
Fuck
no.
you.
Just walk away.
Yeah, but everything that I saw didn't look bad. It's just I didn't get a chance to finish it, which is a shame, because it's like, for one thing, like the people behind it really had me excited, and so I will finish it. I just haven't.
Yep, same.
Yeah. Okay. We're pretty much all in the same boat there. Just, okay.
Ooh, before we get into that, along the same lines, I did want to recommend to anybody that can possibly get it, because I know it's kind of hard to find, but if anybody gets a chance and they're okay with, like, simple show, technically made for kids, everybody should go watch the Mystery Layton, the anime series.
I thought you were going to say Katsu Friends, and I was like, that's not a show. That doesn't seem like a show you'd watch.
No, but like legit, the Professor Layton, Miss Layton series is. I've only seen like 1.5 episodes again, but
yeah, I remember you mentioned it in our opening cast.
Gosh, it was just such a treat though. And I can't imagine that anything else about the show would really get bad, because it's very like Monster of the Week kind of situation, very Scooby-Doo in that essence. There's a mystery each week that they're solving. But gosh, it was just so pleasant. It's very well animated. It's a lot of fun, and it's neat that they obviously hold your hand a little bit because it's a kid's show, but it's fun that they have these little, like, here's a clue, nod, here's a clue, nod, and then at the end they're like, all right, we're going to give you a second. They literally address the camera, and they're like, we're going to give you a second. Can you figure out the mystery before we do? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've missed this. Yeah, it's fun. I had a lot of fun with that one. If you can find it. Yes. For some reason, it didn't come out over here, I don't think. And I don't know if it came out anywhere else. Or at least, I don't think it came out here at first.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But I mean, it's not over. There's like 50 fucking episodes of this thing. So people have time.
Yeah.
They'll find it. There's time. Okay.
Yeah, alright. All I wanted to say.
Fair enough.
Alright, well, I don't have a lot to say about anything else, so I guess we'll just move on.
So, 3D Kanojo?
Sure. Yeah. Let's talk about this, I guess.
Zach, since you
you sound so thrilled to talk about this, Matt.
Well, okay, how about you, Matt? Matt, what do you have to say about this show?
Well, someone else should go first. not me. Just go.
Okay.
3D Kanojo is a fascinating show in that I really enjoyed the first bit of it. I thought that the way in which it handled this idea of a new burgeoning relationship between our main cast, Tsutsui and Igarashi, it was really fascinating because, I mean, by the end of the first episode, they had their first kiss and they were dating. And in the following episodes, it was a lot of discussion about the sort of anxieties and stresses that come with romance and love and a relationship with someone.
Yes, the setup for this series had me so excited because of that. Because it's not leading into a romance; it's what happens once you get there.
Yeah, and again, even that itself is not unheard of. It's not a common thread in a lot of these kind of school romances because honestly, most of these shows, think stuff like Nisekoi or a lot of different shoujo kind of adjacent shows. It is very much the entire season or series is leading up to that final episode where there is maybe a relationship forming, or it's like, oh, well, we're kind of still where we were at square one at the beginning of the show, but we're closer together now. And it's nice to have that relationship aspect to it. The thing that was really interesting is that in addressing all these anxieties, it started off without a lot of tropiness, without a lot of like misunderstandings and misconception bullshit, which was really refreshing. If they had an issue, they just talked it out and we're like, oh, that's it? Okay, well, cool, we're good now. And that kind of started to unfortunately disintegrate around like episode 4 or 5.
Yeah.
When it started to get real tropey real fast. I mean, for Christ's sake, the way it handles some of its drama just kind of left me flabbergasted a bit, especially considering, in episode 4, Mitsuya, our supporting cast member who has the hots for Igarashi, frames Tsutsui for like trying to kidnap his younger sister, and
now everybody thinks that he was kidnapping a child.
Yeah, essentially, and pretty much accusing him of like attempted pedophilia.
Yeah,
and the fact that that entire situation is resolved by not resolving anything, by essentially Tsutsui being like, hey, look, like, as long as you tell my family that this is a misunderstanding, that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah, family and friends.
Yeah, the fact that that is the resolution and, like, the entire school still thinks that, cool, Tsutsui is now a pedophile.
Yeah.
And that is really never addressed the rest of the show.
That's really not okay because, like, that's not something that you can make light of. If it was, like, any other thing that he was accusing him of like, stealing or, like, it's not good, but like looking up a girl's skirt or something like that, like a shitty behavior, not okay, and so it would be fucked up for people to think that about somebody. But it's like this specific crime is not okay, and the fact that they just don't. How basically everybody else that's not the main cast still thinks he's a pedophile, that's never addressed, and they just kind of drop it.
And it's just
odd.
Yeah,
it is, because like that's not something that would get just swept under the rug.
No,
I mean it's
right, and they try to answer it by saying it doesn't matter what other people think as long as the people that you care about like know who the real you is. But that's not a good answer to that specific crime.
No, I mean, essentially it's saying, hey, like, you know, whatever, as long as the people you care about know the real you, that's cool, except, no, because that is, like, felony adjacent. That's a problem. That's going to follow you. No.
Good message, bad execution.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Once again, if it was fucking anything else that was not up there in like one of the worst things that you can possibly do, you know, that thing that people in jail will beat the shit out of the other person because they did that. Like the murderers will gang up and beat the shit out of the pedophile. That happens.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just, it was such an abrupt, odd turn for the show to take tonally, and for them to still like kind of interspersely try to insert some humor and make light of the situation while that was still going on. It just, it made me really uncomfortable.
Honestly, that arc was entirely weird. I didn't quite get it at all.
Yeah, no.
To be fair, I would be okay with it because it is a very immature thing to do, and honestly, that's something that happened to me as a kid, except for, you know, not pedophilia. They accused me of like something else, and then just everybody, because I was the new kid, everybody was just like, oh, he's a piece of shit, okay. But like that's the thing, is that it wasn't that specific crime, and honestly it was still a shitty situation. Like just because like I didn't care what they thought didn't make it better. They still hated me and continued to hate me for multiple years and isolated me. Like that's not okay. It's not okay for that to be the solution to this problem in this show. It like I would have been okay, at least mildly okay with it, if they had done the whole thing, that it wasn't just his family and friends, that, you know, the asshole that framed him for this explained to everybody that he did that.
Yeah. And it's shitty. But I think the thing that was even worse to me was that in the throughout the rest of the season, they kind of integrated Mitsuya into the main cast.
Oh yeah, they integrate the bully that accused him.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like everyone is still like, you know, kind of happy-go-lucky with him. The only one that ever really addresses anything is Igarashi at one point, at maybe like episode 8 or 9, is, you know, just kind of like, hey, I still hate your guts. You're still a piece of shit, but whatever.
The appropriate reaction.
Yeah, she made an appropriate reaction, but then at the same time, the last scene on the show, spoiler, is them at a ramen shop all together hanging out. So like,
okay, I want to talk about that, but later.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just the fact that he does this shitty thing that has lasting consequences, or would if the show didn't just like weirdly sweep it under the rug. And
yeah, even later, some of the randos
like,
in the show that we don't even have names for are just like whatever. It's very strange.
It's just it's so odd, and like he doesn't have any redeeming qualities whatsoever. Like there's no kind of arc where he's like, hey, maybe I'm a shitty person. Like his whole thing is like, well, I guess this is fine because due to my pride, I'm not going to own up to this shit, so whatever. And everyone's just like, yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that was
like,
probably
I don't know. It's just, it's some ass garbage, but whatever. That's my main Mitsuya thing. But, I mean, beyond that, there's still more issues with the show. And it's not for me to consistently shit on it, because I do think that in a lot of ways it is very accurately presenting a lot of anxieties that come with relationships and such in this regard. But I just, it bothers me that it started so interestingly and then just got so very quickly tropey. It's disappointing because it does become, like, from maybe episode like 5 or 6 on, another misunderstanding is the anime, which is a major bummer.
That was actually my biggest issue with this show, was the fact that, like, our main character, like, learned, oh, I need to communicate with my girlfriend, otherwise this relationship will not work. And I was like, okay, that's fucking awesome. I'm so glad that they addressed that. And he worked his way to that, and then he seemed to, like, progress in that state. But then as soon as that happened, he basically no longer progressed for the rest of the show, really, because it then just became a continuous thing where the two things that he was supposed to resolve by, like, that were supposed to have been resolved by, like, episode, like, 4 or 5, which was he thinks that he's a piece of shit, so he thinks that his girlfriend hates him, which is obviously not the case, because she stated that over and over and over again. He still thinks that even up until, like, well, actually the end of the show. And then the other thing is that he just, both he and his girlfriend stopped communicating with each other, which is another strange thing, is that she was a fucking saint for, like, the first, like, I want to say, like, 6 episodes of the show, and that she was always freely able to express her opinion and communicate with him and be able to work with him, even though he's really not picking up his own slack for this relationship. But then all of a sudden she starts doing the same shit he is, like, halfway through the show.
And I mean, like, to be fair, it is not entirely, you know, out of the question, because from her perspective, there is a lot of fatigue from that, because you know, it's just difficult to keep going with an issue like that if there is no attempt to actually communicate. Because yes, that's what you were talking about. The first few episodes, they establish if there's no communication in this isn't going to happen.
Right.
And they're like, okay, cool, great. But then the entire time, Setsui has this issue where he actively looks to avoid communicating for some reason, or at least he doesn't put forth the proper effort, because he's consistently like, okay, well, I don't know why you're mad. Like, will you just explain this to me? And again, that's fine. Communication is good, but he doesn't put forth any actual effort to think about why she might be having issues. Like, and she addresses that too. She's like, okay, well, you'll think for maybe a minute or so on it, and then you're just going to get off on something else. And it's kind of frustrating to see him beef it like that so consistently, especially when they established so early in the series that was something.
Yeah, but at the same time, I didn't want to, because she was such a great character for so long, but as it went on, she became less and less of a great character in my eyes, because she, even though it is understandable for her to have fatigue, I feel like after a certain point, she then just stopped communicating in general. And not, like, intentionally, like, I'm pissed off, so I'm just not going to communicate with you anymore. Because she did do that at one point. But then, like, after that, she was just like, oh, I have these specific feelings, and I'm just not going to communicate them. And then there's just no one talking on either side of this relationship for, like, 5 episodes. It was a weird thing where it wasn't all the time, but it was a weird thing in which, like, they would just not communicate, realize they weren't communicating, they communicate, issue is resolved. Then they would go to a different issue, not communicate, still weren't communicating for a while, and then all of a sudden realize they have to, issue resolved. It was this weird cycle where it's like, why didn't you just get it, like, at least the first 2 times? It was like a consistent thing throughout this entire show, is that they would actually state to each other, oh, we're miscommunicating, or oh, we're not communicating right now, we need to fix that. And then they
just not do it.
And then they just don't do it for, like, 2 or 3 episodes to make an arc. Like, it was real fucking dumb. Well, some of them they resolved in the same episode, which, thank you.
Yeah, but a lot of that was, again, early on.
Yeah.
Like, in the latter half of the series, it was very much just this weird, bad cycle of, as you described. And, I mean, I don't know.
And here's the thing, is that, like, not to interrupt you, sorry. it's this weird thing where like by the end of it, whenever they were like, oh, we're not communicating, and then they start communicating again, what they're saying is actually really fucking good. And like a lot of the shit that they're talking about when it comes to relationships and the difficulties of keeping them up and making sure that everybody is that it's a healthy relationship, it's all really good shit that they're talking about. But it's like the show just doesn't quite have the competency to get there.
Yeah, that's the thing. It has a lot of genuinely solid, important messages to say about relationships, about how you communicate, about how you work, how it is a partnership very much, how it is not something that one person can shoulder the entire burden of. But it just, it takes such a roundabout way of getting to any of these messages that it's a little frustrating.
Yeah.
But I just want to see my awkward kids be happy, man. Like, that's all.
Yeah, and by the end of it, for the most part, everybody really is. Even if not everybody's like in a relationship, they're all at least relatively content in their lives.
Yeah. See, that is one thing that I think the show did very well. I was very happy about it, in that not everyone was paired off by the end of this thing.
Yeah. Because
I thought I saw that start to happen around episode 10 or 11, and I was getting kind of worried, because by that point, you know, Tsutsui Igarashi had made up, and then there was the whole subplot of Ito, you know, developing feelings for Aido.
Yeah.
And, you know, I thought that it was going to be, oh god, y'all are going to rush them into a relationship in these last 2 episodes, and I thought they were also going to do that with Mitsuya and Ishino, and I was real worried about that.
Yeah, but then they treated actually relatively well. It's like, if in the case of Ishino, like, it was a situation where she may like the guy, but the guy's like, sorry, I'm just not interested. And it's like, okay, you know, that's just going to be, we're just going to be friends, and that's fine.
Yep.
And as far as like Aido and Ito, it probably will happen at some point, but as far as what we've been privy to, it's just hasn't happened, and it probably won't happen for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine.
And I'm glad that it ended up not essentially using Aido as a conduit for Ito's character development. Yeah. Like, it would have just been really shitty for her to essentially exist for the sole reason to get Ito to be a more, I guess as they use the term, normie person, rather. I'm glad they essentially did not just use her as a stepping stone for character development.
Yeah.
It was very nice. But, yep. Matt, you indicated that your opinion of this was less than stellar. I'm thrilled to hear what you have to say.
So, I don't disagree with a lot of what you guys have said so far.
Mm-hmm.
Like, pretty much all of the points that you've already brought up, like with episode 4 and stuff, and that situation, like, yeah, that was kind of weird. I actually kind of feel like, I don't know if maybe it was just me, but as I was watching the show, I thought a couple of different things unrelated to anything that happened in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least not like directly, it's more of adjacent.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, like, first thought that popped in my head was, I feel like I'm missing, like, certain chunks. Like, I don't want to just automatically say the show is not so great because it's not adapted well, but I feel like there's certain parts that are just missing, or like certain chunks. I don't really know.
Can you think of a particular time that was really like in your mind?
Like there's things that aren't addressed necessarily?
Yeah, I suppose. Like, I'm trying to think of an example.
I will say, I while you're thinking about that, I will say I definitely felt like there was some odd choices in direction for this show. For instance, sometimes they would have they had these weird things where they wanted to go for the dramatic moment, and so like they would have the two, especially with our two main characters, Iroha and Hikari. or Tsutsu, they had these weird moments where like they would say something intimate and they would show that they love each other, and then all of a sudden it would just like go to a white screen for a split second, and then all of a sudden that they were kissing, and then it would just immediately cut out of that again. Like it would go from this white screen and show like them in their colors of blue and pink that they're stylized as, and then they would kiss or they would do something, and then all of a sudden it would just like cut back, but it would be like 10 seconds later. And it felt very jarring and weird because I'm like, did we scene change, or was that like a dream, or like
sorry, but I kind of get what you're saying. It's kind of like, I don't know if it's like the scene changes were just like abrupt, because this happened like especially during the camping episode.
Yeah, I felt like the scene changes were real fucking weird. In that.
Like they were like really like weirdly spaced apart.
Mm-hmm.
They made enough sense that you could like grasp what was going on, but it didn't feel like a stylistic choice. It kind of felt like they were trying to just cram things for time almost.
Yeah, and a lot of them were very jarring. It took me a couple seconds to be like, oh, we cut. Where are we? And what time are we?
What's going on?
Yeah, I'm like, is this immediately after? Is this like an hour after? I don't quite get what's going on here.
Yeah, and so it was. I guess mostly that's what I was talking about. Maybe it wasn't the fact that it didn't make sense. It was just abrupt and jarring, like you said. So there was that. That was one thing. So I don't know if that was like an adaptation problem, or if that's how the manga goes. I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know
anything about that. Interested, but I don't know. Number 2.
Yeah.
By the end of the show, I just thought, wow, this was just. I literally thought this. I was like, this reminds me of another show. And I was like, oh, this is Golden Time without Ghost Boundary. And I was like, it's a little bit similar.
Although, to be fair, I would, of what I remember, I feel like Golden Time did it better for at least their first 12 episodes.
Yeah, we can argue the last 12. I suppose.
The last 12 don't count for me if we're going to make a comparison of love stories, because the last 12 isn't a love story, it's a horror film.
You're not wrong.
I really am not. It's like if you took the Ghost of Christmas Past but then gave him actual like presence and the ability to like fuck shit up, and he just went to town.
That sounds freaking spooky.
Yeah, it was.
I still think about that sometimes. Just like watching that all crammed on a single fucking couch in that apartment, and it just seems like such a fever dream.
It felt like such a fever dream while we were watching it.
I know.
Especially that weird ass opening for the second half of the show.
The subtitles that kept changing for the song.
Oh yeah,
and we switched back and forth.
Crazy. That was amazing.
Anyways, okay.
That's not 3D Kanojo, but man, that was funny. I'll never get over that.
No.
Good times.
Oh, yeah.
They were
anyway,
golden times.
Golden times. Yeah. So anyway, what we're learning from this is that I need to stop picking romance shows, apparently, because apparently, like, I at least enjoy them, but apparently everyone else kind of just.
No, Matt, don't mistake me. I did enjoy this. I watched through the whole thing, and I was like, I'm at least having a good time. If for no other reason that besides the accusation of pedophilia, this show never got dark on me. And I was like, and the end results, how it got there was questionable, but the end results of each like little arc or each issue that they go over within a relationship and what they had to say about it, I loved. I absolutely loved that it was trying to treat this in a very mature manner as far as that goes. That said, how they got there wasn't always mature. Like, you know, Igarashi just fucking running off into the woods. The fucking trope of all tropes when it comes to romance shows, and then everybody's scared because they can't find her, and there's no cell reception for some fucking
Zach,
reason.
were we talking about that, or was... No, we were talking about something similar to that.
Because every fucking romance show
every romance show does that. No, it was camping episodes specifically we were talking about.
Yeah, because we were talking about every time there's a camping episode, in any
shit
show,
goes
some
happen.
shit goes down.
Yeah,
shit goes happen.
It's just real bad. Like Yahari, what a nightmare that one was.
Yeah.
Or just anyway, yeah. Essentially, don't get me wrong. Much like how I like the show a lot. I think that honestly, yes, execution and how it got to some of its major points was very much lacking. It got a little too tropey for my liking, but the end result and the end messages that it had for each of its arc resolutions was really important and genuinely thoughtful as far as having a healthy, stable relationship goes, at least in terms of how it presents it.
Yeah, I thought a lot of the, like what you said earlier, a lot of the anxieties and stuff were addressed pretty, I'd hate to say accurately because just the past experiences, but effectively would probably be a better word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. But I mean, like, I found myself relating to a lot of these things.
Yeah, I mean, these are definitely things
like,
that come up in a lot of people's relationships, if not everyone's. If they're going for a, like, very serious relationship or relationship that they're dedicated to. Like, these are all things that will come up. In
genuine concerns.
Yeah, genuine concerns in whatever relationship you may be in. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was interesting. So I think that was probably the main draw of the show for me, just personally. So
yeah, same for me. Like, overall, I like the show a lot. It's just it's
got a lot of weird problems.
Yeah, yes. I was happy when it got there, but whenever it was taking a while to get there, I wish you could have been in the room because I literally, I had like a drink in my hand and just like leaned back in my chair and I was just screaming at this fucking screen like a drunk uncle on game day. I was like, "You fucking bitch, get in there!" I was like, "Quit fucking doing this shit!" It's like I'm yelling at the ref.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to me, like, but during the camping episodes, like, I freaked the fuck out at some point because, like, I don't know, I was at work watching this. Well, I'd say at work, but I wasn't, like, literally at work.
Right, you're on your way home.
We know what job you have. Yeah, you were on your way home. Other people.
Anyway, I was watching it, and I was like, I got to the camping episodes, and I was like, this is not going well.
Yeah, because like you messaged me about those episodes.
Yeah, and I was getting there. I was like, this is like, I feel like I've been here before. Is the bad thing, and I was like, oh, this is not good. I was looking at all the signs and stuff, and I was like, uh-oh. And the next thing I know, I'm like, oh my god, my stomach is churning. This is horrible. I hate this. And yeah, I had to take a break after that for a couple hours. I guess it was just, I don't know if it was anxiety or what the hell it was, but it was weird.
Some real bad secondhand anxiety.
Yeah. I don't know what it was, but yeah, it was some kind of anxiety. I don't know if it was like just the situation. I don't feel like the situation was well done enough to induce that in me, but apparently somewhere subconsciously that apparently clicked somewhere, like, this is similar enough to something you've experienced, and it was like,
yikes.
Yeah, yikes indeed. Anyway, yeah. There's interesting parts of the show, and just like you guys, I don't think it was horrible. No. I just there's some problems. It's kind of like up there with Golden Time. I'm still putting it up there with Golden Time.
You have a much better feeling about Golden Time than me. Apparently,
I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I've blocked so much about Golden Time out of my memory.
I like Golden Time still.
I can address it.
Like, but I say I like Golden Time, but I mean, I still haven't, like, it's like still like a 6.5 in my mind, like, but I still like it, Honestly,
yeah, I was actually gonna say, like, I still enjoyed the show. I ended up giving it like around a 6.5. Yeah, like it does things better than a lot of other like trope filled shows. And what it's trying to get across, I think the messages themselves are fantastic. I think the way that the relationship gets by the end of the series, as 2 steps forward, or 3 steps. Yeah. Anyways, 3 steps back. Like as odd as its fucking dance that it does towards the end is, it. By the time that it gets there, I do genuinely enjoy their relationship, the main characters, and the struggles that they've come across and been able to deal with. And I do enjoy that they were able to deal with them and move forward in a positive direction. But it's just, how it fucking got there is just awkward as all hell. There's like I would argue there's a competency there where it's just like they wanted to tell something really awesome, but and they knew what they wanted to say, but not how to say it.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I think 3D Kanojo probably has a similar problem, but just in my mind.
Oh, I was talking about 3D Kanojo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I think Golden Time's the same way too, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I would say so. And the director really likes ghosts, but
well, good thing this director didn't like ghosts apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, not enough to put him in his anime or her anime, whatever.
Yeah, the closest thing that we got was the inner self blue-haired character that our main character had, but at least that girl character actually knew what the fuck was up. Anytime he went into his inner space, she literally smacked him and said, "Do your fucking job as a boyfriend. Fucking communicate." And I was like, "I love you. You go." Why can't she be the main character?
Sometimes you just need some totally not real magical girl inhabiting your headspace to get you where you need to go.
Yeah.
Thinking emoji.
I mean, but like as a metaphor and way of doing that, I've seen that done very well for people. So like, I was generally okay with the weird ass fucking character being his inner voice, because honestly, that's what would speak to him since it's his favorite show.
Yep, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Oh, there's one last comment.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about like that last weird 5 minutes of the show?
I have some words.
Oh
about
yeah, you were
gonna
say something about that. All I'll say is it was unnecessary.
Yeah, I feel like that could be cut, and I was like, "This is really what they're putting in the last 5 minutes."
To be honest,
that was my thought.
That became a recurrent issue for this show in a lot of ways. In that, usually a show follows a specific build to the end that it does. And so, every now and then you'll get your one-off episode about, such and such, but overall you are still working towards the end. So by, episode 8, you can trust that the last 4 episodes are probably going to be, hammering hard on specific points. This show didn't do that. This show did not do that at all. After episode 8, 9 and 10 were all about Ito, and then, I think the tail end of 10 was about our main characters again, which was cool. And then 11 was about Ito and his situation again. And then 12 was half and half about Ito, and then the other half was about our main characters, but only kind of sort of. And it was just another situation where literally the entire thing could have been resolved if our main character said, because he's just straight up tells his girlfriend, "Hey, I'm not gonna hang out with you for 2 weeks," and she's like, "What?" And he's like, "All right, bye." All he had to say was, "Hey, I've just started working a job after school, so I'm going to be doing that." He didn't have to give away that he was doing it in order to get enough money to give her a gift. All he had to say was, "I'm working a job, just going to be for a little bit. Sorry about this, but I just want to do this for a couple weeks."
Correct. And
all he had to fucking say.
that is all that needed to be done. But yeah, obviously the reason it was there was to add that little itty bit of dramatic tension of that to give Igarashi's brother some one-liners here and there. I
forgot about that plot line. I want to talk about that.
The rainbow plot line in the middle of my anime.
That.
Oh,
but I just because he could have just been open about that, but without actually saying, "Hey, I'm doing this to get you something." But, of course, it was weird dramatic plot line so that Igarashi could get the point to say, no, like, I trust him. It's cool. He'd actually tell me something was up. Which, okay, that's cool. That's great. Yeah. But they didn't have to actually have that particular issue there for that to come up.
Yeah, for me, it felt very constructed because they're like, oh, fuck, we're in episode 12? Okay, how about this?
Yeah, but again, the thing is, like, I think it is also partially an issue of adaptation. They have 12 episodes for this. They didn't secure a 2-core situation. If it had 24 episodes, things might have been different.
It almost kind of seems like they looked like they were going to get more episodes, and they're like, this is not doing well, guys.
I think what they were trying to do probably was, at least for me, I haven't read the manga, but the way that it handled its ending and the fact that like it's a non-ending in a lot of ways because they never address many things, including the fact that it is month 3 of the 6-month relationship in which she's going to be moving away. They mention it one last time at the bowling alley, and that's it. And I do appreciate that, once again, the message that it says about it is great. The fact that he says, we only have this time together, but I'm going to make this time together the absolute greatest that I can, because I love her, and that's what it means to me. And that's a really great message. It's a really great message that, like, they know that this will not be a permanent thing, but it doesn't matter. They're going to enjoy their relationship regardless. Awesome. I'm totally for it. It's just, that was the last mention we got, and then it gets to episode 12, and they just don't even, they say fuck all about it. So it makes me feel like maybe it was a situation in which they're like, we'll just adapt the manga as the manga is. The manga didn't have, like, this specific thing. It just kept going. And we're just going to adapt this section.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, it seems like the whole adaptation section was weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know.
All right, anyways, the 2 things you guys want to talk about.
Oh, I wanted to talk about the freaking, like, the brother out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah, the fucking Oremo shit we got.
Yeah.
We're not related by blood. And then he does the whole fucking pose against the wall. I was like, this is the skeeviest shit.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, just, like, ass end of episode 11. Just some pretty boy in a blazer comes out of nowhere and just decks Itsui. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's episode 11. You're introducing yet another fucking character that's about to, like, drop a dueling glove for Igarashi's honor. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why is this? Why is this necessary?
That's okay. I don't know. I just felt like that. Like, it was just, I saw the character and I was like, oh no. I knew what was about to happen. Mm-hmm. And, like, it was one of those things where I, like, telegraphed it. I was like, okay, this is probably some kind of relative.
Mm-hmm. I was glad it was a relative.
And I was like, okay, well, that, or something like that. And I was like, okay, well, that was kind of weird that it happened. But, I mean, I see what's going on now. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you got the whole, like, freaking, like, wall pin moment, and when it's like, we're not really blood related or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, I saw that coming too. I was like, that's fucking weird.
I do at least appreciate that Igarashi was like, hey, but, like, that's nothing for anyone to ever say about their brother. Like, yeah, what the fuck's the matter with you?
I appreciate that she legit was like, the fuck is up with you? That's real fucked up. That doesn't matter. We've been brother and sister since we were 5. That's not okay.
She's essentially echoing the exact thing that I was, like, saying at the screen seconds beforehand.
I was like, oh, thank goodness this didn't go into some, like, weird-ass fucking, like, Aromaga Sensei bullshit.
Well, yeah, and I appreciated that. I just thought that whole thread was just weird anyway.
Once again,
it didn't really matter.
Unnecessary.
Once again,
it didn't really
the
matter.
Message that it says is great. How it gets there, real fucked up.
Really weird.
Yeah. Really weird.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I was like, I can't believe this is happening. I know what's happening now. Oh no. Nothing happened. Weird.
It didn't need to be there at all, and it's unfortunate that it was another trope, because how many anime have you seen where it's episode 11 and they introduce a new character that becomes the bad guy?
I've never seen an anime like that.
Oh, really?
Sure you haven't.
Not even once.
But we don't need to keep on that specifically.
Yeah.
Matt, I'm curious. You sounded like you had some particular umbrage with the last scene
after the credits. Yeah.
Oh, I just thought it was freaking random, and I just thought it was the weirdest way to cap off the show. I was just kind of left. I was left empty.
I was a little sad, by the way, that like it was a nothing scene. Nothing happens. We already know they're all friends, so there's no point in them doing this. But then on top of that, once again, Aido is not invited. I was like, why is everyone here except for Aido?
Yeah, I thought that too.
I was like, this is really weird that they're just like, nah, fuck it, she's a freshman. We're not going to invite her to this.
But also, it was a nothing scene in that the only animation to it was like a car going by, or a bike going by, or the cat wagging its tail. Otherwise, it was a static image.
Oh, I thought they shifted in their seat, but maybe they didn't. Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, like, it was... The only thing that I could think of was they did what they wanted to do with the storyline, but they still had 2 or 3 minutes in their time slot to fill.
Yeah, either that...
They're just like, well, what the fuck do we do? We're not going to start yet another thing. We already brought up the brother, but not really.
Either that, or it almost felt like it was like one of those... You don't hear about it too often, but one of those situations in which they actually booked like all the actors and actresses for the same day. And they're just like, well, you're all here. Do you want to like cap off the show? Like all of you in character, just like, you know, say your thing. You're at a ramen shop, go. And they're all in the room recording. Like
maybe
do some Who's Line shit.
What is it?
Do some Who's Line shit. Like,
well, it's like, yeah, technically an improv of the scene, but it's just like, you know, you're all here. And we have an extra 2 minutes. Let's just do something fun. But like, it doesn't add anything.
No, I mean, it's like, Matt, it's exactly like you said. I just felt empty.
Yeah.
It was just, why?
It's not like The Sopranos where it ends in the fucking restaurant scene and it has like thousands upon thousands of symbolism going on in that one scene, and that's the cap off to the show. No, this is a fuck all. There's nothing.
It's not like the fucking shawarma scene at the end.
I had like dead anime eyes by the end.
Like, it almost felt like they were trying, like they saw the first Avengers and they were like, yeah, let's do a shawarma scene. But it's like, there's a reason why the shawarma scene works in the first Avengers. There's no reason for that kind of shit here, and it adds nothing to it.
Dead anime eyes. That's it.
I don't know. It's just... I
will also point out, on that same subject of them not moving, there were a couple of other smaller things that I saw where it was just like weirdly. It was like, yeah. It was like, I remember there was one thing in which like.
Episode 11 or something. I don't remember.
Yeah. It was like, I didn't really notice it too much. I think there was a couple of issues in like the camping thing, and then I noticed that there was one, I think on episode 11, in which both our 2 main characters were in the foreground, but their faces were drawn as if they were in the background.
Yeah, they didn't look like they normally did.
Yeah,
they looked a little different. Yeah.
And then I had to actually back up and watch. I think in that same episode, I had to back up and watch again. Because there was an issue where Ito was like looking down all sad and depressed, and he looked up, but it wasn't that he looked up, his face morphed up. It was weird. It was really strange. He went from squishy face to tall and slender face. But it's like they like forgot. It's almost like they left his chin where it was and the rest of his face moved.
I don't know, like the budget kind of it felt like the budget might have died in the like latter half of the series,
and to their
credit, whole lot of quality.
Yeah, to their credit, it's not like the whole thing suffered, because like for instance that issue with their faces looking like they were in the background but they were in the foreground. Literally, the next thing that it cuts to is an incredibly well animated water fountain of the park that they're in.
Sounds like an outsourcing issue, really.
Could be.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just sounds like someone got lazy.
Yeah, it could be.
I probably just got eliminated from half the community for saying that.
But to be honest, it's like it was 1 or 2 moments, and that's it.
Yeah, the rest of it was fine.
Yeah.
Some of it looked really good, actually. Like, I like the colors.
That's one of the strong points for this, especially because a lot of the shit that happens is after school situations. Their use of colors for like evening settings and different things like that, real good. They do a really great job with a lot of the colors and things like that in this show.
Mm-hmm. But
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, like, all things considered, it's a decent show. It has some
I call it
pretty
decent.
nice messages.
It's decent.
Yeah.
Good moments. Just some weird things.
Yeah, some weird things. Its execution for some of its major elements could have been a little more polished, I suppose. A little more thought out.
Yeah.
But
I kind of want to give the manga a look sometime, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm invested enough, honestly, at this point.
I might give it a look. Maybe buy a volume or something.
Sure.
I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, so that's 3D Kanojo. We talked about that for a little while there.
Yeah.
We had some words, apparently.
Well, I think that's probably the most anyone's spoken about the show in everywhere. So
probably.
That's our piece.
I will say, before we move on to Hinamatsuri, were there any other things you guys wanted to comment on, since we're only going to be talking about very select things? Like, for instance, we all said some shit about comic girls, but then, like, apparently nobody else thought the same thing as far as I saw moving forward. Apparently people, like, genuinely enjoyed that show.
Comic girls is still shit.
How far did you get?
I didn't get any further than last time. I was just spewing some shit inciting words.
You're just keeping your initial opinion and sticking to it, despite.
I'm just being insidious.
I've only seen 2 episodes, but fuck this anime.
Did you say you're just being deciduous?
No, no.
Like a tree?
Do you mean incendiary?
Yes.
Is that what you meant?
That was the wrong word.
I'm being deciduous. I am the tree in this play.
I am a tree right now. Sorry, guys. Got my trees confused with my flames, apparently.
Easy mistake.
Easy.
Yeah, I've apparently a lot of people love the animation of Comic Girls going forward, and then there are a lot of people that enjoyed the show going forward. I don't know if I want to go there, to be honest. Maybe it's unfair of me to say this, because I only gave it 1 chance, but of the 1 chance that I saw, the fact that it started going into some real skeevy direction, I just kind of was turned off to it.
Honestly, I might end up watching it and I know I just said that I absolutely hated the show, and I just said I'm just gonna watch it.
Yeah, but you were fucking around.
But yeah, I might literally try to give it a shot just to see like what's up with it, because I mean I didn't hate it. Like I know I ragged on it a lot because I didn't like a lot of it, but I mean I'd give it a second chance. If that many people are saying something good about it, I'll give it a second chance.
I am willing to give it a second chance, given that apparently it was this huge thing in the community that, like, surprisingly just everybody genuinely enjoyed the show.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sold on it still, but I would give it a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, y'all have fun with that. Deuces.
I definitely wanted to get into Golden Kamuy, but I just didn't get a chance, and I'm so ashamed. I was going to have it ready for this podcast, and then I just didn't. And
yeah, same. I wanted to watch that a lot.
I feel so bad about it because, like, honestly, I remember early on people bitched about some 3D CGI bear, but, like, everything else I heard about that show was that it's, like, genuinely good. As a historical piece, it's very interesting, and the fact that they're doing this representation of specific individuals that, like, you just never hear about, super cool. So, like, I really wanted to give it a chance. Also, I fucking love history. And the fact that they have, even if it's fictitious, the fact that they have this historical piece like that, I'm like, yeah, I'm totally in. That was, like, one of the first things that attracted me to Baccano. And I ended up fucking loving Baccano on top of it being just a very well-made show. The fact that it like drew from that history for its plot and characters. Loved it.
Besides that, I would be interested to hear about Franxx, but as I said, as we said earlier, I don't know if we were on the podcast when we said that, but
no, I think that was technically before.
Yeah,
but
no, that was a little beforehand. Like, I mean, I've really enjoyed what I've seen of it so far. I'm probably about 2/3 of the way through it. It's gotten to some pretty significant plot twists at this point, but
yeah,
I don't know. Like, I've heard a lot of folks consistently bitching about this show, and I kind of just, from where I stand, I don't fully get it. I understand some minor gripes, but again, I'm not finished with the show. It could have taken a weird turn. You know, we have a Trigger and A1 collaboration here. Both studios have some really solid stuff. There's also potential for some tanking at that point. I mean, and that's the thing with any show. It can be really good, and then it can just lose so much steam at the end.
I feel like,
so I don't know.
I feel like, and this is coming from an incredibly uneducated perspective because I haven't seen a single episode. I feel like almost when there is a show that is this high profile, when you have both A1 and Trigger, which are massive, not just in the industry, but massive when it comes to their fans, specifically in Western culture. Like, I feel like if you have a product that is going to have A1 and Trigger both attached to it, people are going to expect the second coming of Christ. And when they don't get that, when it turns out not even that it's a bad show, granted, once again, I haven't seen it, but not even that it's a bad show, but allegedly that it's just a good or like relatively good show or even pretty good show, but it's not the second coming, people bitch. That's what it feels like. Yeah. Now, granted, I have heard of specific things that are definite issues if you're super not okay with heteronormativity and not only heteronormativity as a plot point that is then driven into the ground, allegedly, is what I've heard. Like, I can understand that, and I can understand having an issue with that because, like, I personally would gripe about that. But at the same time,
somewhat certainly. Yeah. But to be fair, there is a lot of places in which it does deviate from a lot of heteronormativity.
Yeah, but but
again, they're being as subversive as they can within the medium.
What?
Oh, I was just thinking that no, you guys are making good points. It was just that there's already a lot of discussion about this show, and I feel like we're just getting I feel like this, as I said earlier, could be its own podcast. Like,
right, and that's the thing. Like, I would definitely want to finish this thing out.
Yeah, and I don't want to make any judgment calls myself.
Coming to blows.
Yeah, until I do get a chance to sit down and watch it, because Zach, you are not the only person to recommend this show to me. A lot of close people to me have recommended this show to me.
The only issue I really have with the critiques that I've heard about Franxx right now is that apparently there's some kind of thing going around where all the good parts are made by Trigger and all the bad parts are made by A1.
It's some bullshit.
I was like, what?
It's no. Absolute nonsense.
That is some studio fanboy wars.
Yeah, that
is some I don't know how anime works, but this is how it works bullshit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's not like each studio just handled one fucking thing.
No, it was a team
that's not
of
how that
people.
goes.
Yeah.
People from both studios.
Yeah, they worked on various parts, but so I heard another one where Trigger did the first half and A1 did the second half, and
no,
that's not true either.
Oh, very much.
That's not how these things work, and I'm gonna bet you, as much as people are like, oh yeah, it's 100% in A1 and Trigger production, I bet you they don't even realize that probably a lot of the tweens and other aspects of the show are not handled by A1 or Trigger.
Neither. Yeah.
It's another one of those anime works this way. I know it for a fact. My dad works at Nintendo bullshit.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to debunk that stuff because I know that's been a problem. So anyway, we can move on to Hinamatsuri whenever you're ready.
Yeah,
right, because again, that's an entirely other podcast.
Oh, and then Have either of you seen anything about Fully Cooley? I feel like I'm the only one that was so absolutely stoked for this, and I just haven't gone around to actually watching what's coming.
Oh no, I'm hype as hell.
Okay,
I love
okay.
I'll watch it.
I'm
I'm gonna watch it
numerous times. I haven't got around to watching it.
I haven't
my
watched
gosh.
it either.
The YouTube channel for this show, by the way, if anybody is interested, comes out with these super long and in-depth discussions with everybody on the team. I'm talking like not even the directors. I'm talking even individual artists and talking to them. And it's fucking awesome. I love it.
All
The
right.
YouTube channel is coming out with some great fucking shit. I love it. They even have they've even talked with some of the people from over here on the Cartoon Network originally, and A1's I think it's, or sorry, not A1, fuck, what are they? Help me out here.
What, Production IG?
Production IG. And Production
That
IG,
one.
they're American Contact. They even do interviews with them, as well as
that's cool.
as well as the Pillows, the band that does all the music. Like they've been coming out with some great shit about this, and I'm definitely on the hype train when I shouldn't be, but at the same time, it's like I if nothing else, the fact that they're being like, here's all the stuff that we're going through behind the scenes, and here's all the things that we're thinking about going into this show, super cool. I'm super happy about it.
Yeah, as I said, I'll watch it. I guess, like, I don't know. Yeah, I'll watch it.
And Matt, you might find this interesting. The last video that I saw from them was a video talking about how Production IG and the original creators of Fully Cooley specifically asked to work with a incredibly new team of animators and artists. A lot of younger talent, because they stated that's
like I
who they
vaguely
were
heard
whenever
about
they
that.
first worked on the first season, and they're like, so it makes sense to give that chance of this new generation, give them the same chance that we got.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
So I'm super excited. I'm super excited about that.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I haven't seen it, but I probably will get to watch it. I'm sure that doesn't need to be hyped up for anybody. It's Fully Cooley. Like, even if you haven't seen the show, everyone knows of the show at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, we can talk about that at a later point too.
Yeah. Especially because,
So-
like, I think the second season's out by this point, right?
Something like that. I don't really know how that show is working at this
They're
point.
doing they're doing
of,
a weird ass thing.
So I don't know, but it's coming out sometime. Like, so some pieces still coming out now.
Yeah,
so it's fine. Whatever.
But like, it's I'm super excited about that. Also, there was if you're into Yuri, there was a short that came out this season. I can't remember the name of it. It's like Asagao to. It's the two characters' names. It's gonna kill me. They did a short that like the fan community has been pushing for like fucking ever, and they finally managed to get at least the OVA out, which is 30 minutes long. It's great. Everybody should go watch it. It's very good. Even if you're like not super into Yuri, it's just a genuinely like real feel good love story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just wanted to throw that out there because I felt like
Good
it was
plug.
something that people should give a chance.
I've heard good things about it, but I'm not sure if it's entirely my speed. That's about.
If you're
extent of
interested, because the manga is like, I think it's like 150, 200 chapters. It's complete.
I don't have time for that.
It's real good though. Yeah.
I'm sure it is.
All right, that's all I wanted to touch on. We can get a Hinamatsuri.
So, all of our
Asagao to
prior
Kase-san.
experience, our first experience with Hinamatsuri was we all did a group watch one night of the first episode, I think, when the season was starting up earlier.
Yeah.
And I seem to remember it was pretty much across the board, laughing until we almost cried.
That first episode was good.
The first episode was pretty funny.
That was
Man,
real
what
good.
a fucking banger of a first episode, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I was consistently stunned by the show's comedic timing, by the really solid script work, like how well the banter suited the characters, how very much each of these characters felt so fleshed out so early on, and how they felt so very much unlike kind of tropey counterparts one might set them with.
Yeah.
Or group them together with. And I was really, really thrilled when that carried honestly throughout the rest of the series.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the end, and that is a rarity for me.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's very
Hinamatsuri, like, I mean, that first episode was not only genuinely funny, but also genuinely very heartwarming, which was kind of stunning that it was able to develop that kind of attachment and investment for characters
in like 23
in
minutes.
A single episode.
Yeah.
And the genuine humor and the heartwarming nature of the show pretty much carried throughout, which, yeah, you're right, Matt, it's stunning. I really expected it to dip at some point.
I actually expected it to dip, and it never did.
It didn't, and it blew my mind, because I was every episode just wondering, you know, is this the one? Is this where the other shoe's going to drop for this show? And it just didn't. And even as they, you know, kept growing the cast, they still gave a lot of proper time and attention to this weird, zany group of characters. I felt pretty invested in almost everyone by the end of the show.
These good children.
I also love that, like, none of the characters ever like dropped their own characterization. Because, like, first, it's weird to say that, but there are a lot of shows that they write the characters a specific way, and then randomly and weirdly, for the sake of plot, they just kind of stop doing what they normally do, or what they normally would do in that situation. And the fact that stayed true to itself the entire time, the fact that you have fucking Nita, like, so sad to see Hina leave, and then all of a sudden she, like, forgets something and comes back home real quick when she was supposed to be, like, gone out of his life, and he's fucking celebrating. Like, not only is it so gosh dang hilarious, it's absolutely what that fucking asshole of a character would do.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think
it's
that's
so good.
One of the things that I love so much about this show, and that we had Nita as our, I guess, as like the conduit, the main human character in our show. And, you know, it established it from the get-go. You know, this dude's lower level Yakuza. He's kind of a nice guy. He likes to care for folks around him. He's very much like a mom friend kind of character, but he's also such a dick. And he knows he is. He knows he's a complete asshole. And you're right in that they don't deviate from that characterization. Like, he does change over time. You know, actually caring for Hina gets him, you know, kind of assuming this role of a foster father that he never thought that he would have. And he does genuinely love and care for Hina. He tries to make her life as workable and as normal as possible. But he's also still a jackass in his own right.
Yeah, and I also love that not only is he a jackass, everyone from the first episode knows that he is. Like, everyone that he interacts with in his life, they know he's an asshole. They expect him to be. So
right.
It's just a part of who he is and what his relationship is to other people. It's not a situation where it's like, wow, I can't believe you did that. No, everyone, like, you know, that's par for the course.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's kind of like that with a lot of our characters, in that we have this very specific image of them from the start, from their introduction, and they never really lose the core of who they are, but they all do develop and change in their own very specific ways. Like, I mean, I was stunned by, like, Anzu's character development.
Oh my gosh, Anzu became, like, one of my
girl.
favorite characters, and I didn't like her when they first introduced her.
Pure.
Yeah. I think, and I guess leading into that is another point I love how essentially the powers that manifest through Hina and Anzu and Mao and such, their psychic abilities are more or less, I wouldn't say a red herring, but they're kind of just a quick little plot device to get us into this really interesting story about the human
characters.
interaction. Yeah, what it means to be a human, what it means to have these genuine interpersonal relations, what it means to have and to find family.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. And what was the term? Is it magical realism?
Yes.
That's kind of the oxymoron that's it's so fitting. Because it's a focus on a real life situation with very, very mild use of magical powers and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it just works so well for the story because for these characters and for the plot that they're trying to state, there's no reason for us to for these characters to go crazy with magical powers and start wrecking shit and blowing up the city or something, because to be honest, it just doesn't even matter. The evil organization that these small children were kidnapped and then used for experiments in doesn't even show up again except for once, and then all they say is, wow, okay, they're actually they actually can function as a human being. I guess we'll just leave them alone. That's all. It's really funny in that way, is that to be honest, the magical powers don't necessarily matter, but their inclusion in the story they are at least used in different ways, but it's more for just an extension of the character rather than what the whole plot or basis of these characters is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was really genuinely interesting in that there are a lot of shows that include some weird, outrageous element in its plot like that, but it was interesting to see Hinamatsuri take that and make it so that, you're right, it is just a minor element, but it kind of enriches the experience, even though it is not the main focus of it. It never feels like their weird ESP powers and such are a hindrance to the show, or a distraction from its main message and how it actually progresses its narrative and its character development. It feels like a natural flow and a really solid narrative lubricant in some aspects.
Yeah.
It's genuinely fascinating to me because it never felt overblown or out of place. Because, the episode where Hina wants to do more for Nita, and so she decides she's going to, clean his apartment, and she tries using her powers and such to assist with her cleaning, and she just ends up trashing the place. It felt just so right for her character.
That's so Hina.
Yeah,
I know.
It's her attempting to do something good, but she fucks it all up. And then doesn't even realize that she fucks it up.
Yeah, it was a really solid conveyance of this story, and a nice use of the powers as an aspect of a boon to the show, rather.
Oh yeah. And you talk about that, and the only thing I can keep thinking of is my 100 billion favorite moments or scenes for the show.
I took so many screen caps of this show. It just laughed my ass off at the individual pictures.
I feel like it's less of that for me, and it's more of just the fact that I can recall the scenes in my head, and I'm just thinking, oh my god, I love that scene. Oh, I love that one too. Oh my god, I love that one too. And it's
pretty much like any scene involving poor Mishima in any our good middle school bartender.
Yeah. Oh my god, clap to pay respects.
Any scene that chronicled the slow descent into
madness.
Just the absurdity of it all.
The fact that you have
keep just elevating, that everything that she does somehow seems to just get her deeper into this rut.
And the best part about it is that it's I laughed my ass off that they spent an entire episode about Mishima moving on from being a bartender to being a working woman in Japanese society, and like having to hold down multiple jobs and pay her own way and like pay off all the bills for her apartment. She's like fucking 12.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's like saying shit that like some 30-year-old woman would say is like mind-boggling and hilarious.
Well, what was really funny was the fact that at the end of the episode when they're like, you should become the executive CEO of the company. And I was just, and oh my god, like, and her mom, these huge bigwigs for these companies are like, not only talk her up, but start exchanging cards with her mom and being like, she's the best worker we've ever had. And like, Mishima thinks that like, my mom's gonna find out and she's gonna flip shit and take me home. And then she's like, no, you get out there. You're fucking working it, girl. You don't quit now. I'm just like, oh my god. Like, there's hundreds of scenes like that in this show for me. Like, there are hundreds.
I realized that it's just so good.
It's just so good.
Like, I realized that, like, it's a comedy, and that's kind of the point, is that it's not trying to make, except for in very specific situations, it's not trying to make an overarching, like, statement on thing. But I think the biggest takeaway that you could get from this, because of the way that a lot of these characters are, is that adults are assholes.
Yeah.
Like, Mishima's mom doesn't even care. By the end of it, she's like, no, it's great. My daughter's a bartender, but she's doing great, and she's making a lot of money for the family. And then, like, Nita doesn't give a fuck about Hina for a while, and then he does care, but he's also just not the greatest dad in the world. It's like
none of the members of the Yakuza family are decent folk.
No,
they're nice, but they're absolute asshats.
Yeah, the fact that they think Nita's gonna usurp them, so they trap him in concrete without even talking to him.
Yeah, honestly, the only adults that are decent folks in this show
were the
homeless people.
They're the only ones that are
my heroes.
Yeah. Okay, no, sorry. It is them. And then the family that runs a Chinese restaurant.
Oh yeah, they're really good.
No, they're good people.
Anzu.
Man,
they're the best.
I loved all the comments.
Mom and Dad forever.
I loved all the comments that Anzu would say, and then all of a sudden they're just like in fucking tears the entire time.
They're just gonna reuse the chopsticks.
Like, yeah, she was just like, are we going to reuse the chopsticks? And then it just cuts to the mom and dad, and they don't say anything about, like, how good of a child she is. It's just the mom going, here, honey, and, like, passing the fucking tissues to him.
Oh, my God.
It's fucking perfect.
Oh, it's good. It's real good. That was another thing, is that, like, we focused on the comedy, but Zach, you had brought up earlier that it had a lot of heartwarming moments in the first season, or in the first episode. And it kept that going, like you said. Like, the fact that Anzu was homeless for a very long time, and they made a very, like, incredibly good arc about not only her maturing and learning about the world through the eyes of these individuals that she's living with, but the fact that they treated with so much gosh dang respect these homeless individuals, and just the troubles and issues of Japanese society. And the fact that these men just don't
homeless people.
Yeah, the fact that these
are trying really hard.
Yeah, these men are trying their hardest. They're actively working and trying. It's just society's not supporting them, and it's such a good message. Like, and it's shitty how it ends, that like they don't get to go to a good home, but at the same time, it's like Anzu only got to do that because she was a child. That's the only way that she got out of that.
I mean, it's dealing with a very real, very shitty aspect of society, in the sense there are a lot of people that get left behind by the system and that just aren't cared for in this sense, even though they are trying their best and doing what they can to actually, get back in the system.
Hinamatsuri is about how shit the system is.
I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
In some ways. But, I don't know, because, I mean, like, and when Anzu actually got adopted by the family at the Chinese restaurant, and how she had this whole arc of, I feel awful that I have what is essentially like a meager dinner. I feel awful that I get to eat well while the rest of them have to fend for every last thing while they have to collect cans to get several hundred yen for an entire day so they can eat a thing of cup noodles. And it absolutely just broke me when she had that moment where she talks about how alone they must be since they had to split up, and how bad she feels about not being able to be there for the rest of the community that brought her in her time of need. And how they talked about, you know, I mean, do what you can, but you've left a mark on their lives. And she just breaks down, and so did I. But it was...
That genuinely, like, seriously broke me. That was amazingly moving.
Yeah. And that's the thing. The show stuns me in how it is consistently able to put me in so many different emotional states over the course of this. Just what a dumb concept for a show, but it's so good.
Yeah. It's like they took... It's like the writers of the show looked at, like, the script of another show, and they're like, we're going to take the concept and then cut out everything else and just kind of do our own thing for a while. Because it's like, the idea of having magical children is, like, barely even touched on. And the idea of, like, of having a Yakuza member, he's just kind of a goofball. And, like... all this other shit where it's like they took a concept and then just decided we're just going to play with it and have fun with it, and we're not necessarily focused on like making a super in-depth story out of that. We just want to play with our characters and have fun and like tell our own thing. And they just tell such an amazingly like incredibly funny but also very heartwarming story about these people.
Yeah, this show man, it blew me away. Like, I never would have expected this out of this show.
No.
Like looking at it, I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those comedy anime that's just going to be trying to be funny. And then we watched it, and I was like, oh, maybe not. This could be a good show. And then it was. It was an amazing show.
I've said this a million times, but the fact that, like, I think it's a testament to this show that they can do what is essentially like a dumb knock-knock joke, but just the way that they do it and the timing of it is so gosh dang solid that I still laugh. Like, that is a testament to this show. And it's very like it's just such clever writing in that way. The fact that they can do a bunch of like goofy ass fucking jokes, but just the timing of them is so good that I laugh. And then the fact that they can do what has essentially been done a million times in some other show, as far as like a relatively heartwarming moment between an adoptive father and their child. But the fact that they're just the timing and like no amount of time is wasted, and the writing is just so solid that it hits me. And out of a comedy show of all things that I was laughing at not 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. It has a way of doing that. You're laughing, and then suddenly you get hit with the feels.
Yeah. The only major thing that I can really like knock this on, sort of, is the fact that they introduced a new character so late, and then we just never really got anything out of that, except for, I will say, with the exception of, even if the character was late and it had nothing to do with the rest of the fucking show, the fact that the last episode is dedicated solely to Mao and this fucking epic story of how she gets to Japan.
Now, listen. You say they introduced Mao so late in the show. Mao is the first character we ever saw in the show.
I mean, yes. Like,
it started
that is true,
with her
and it's one of those things where
started.
you almost forget about it, because that's how they started the show, and it's like, the fuck is going on? What is happening? I thought this was like some weird ass comedy show, and then it turns out it is a weird ass comedy show, and you were just watching a completely separate segment of something else.
That was honestly, I think, about my favorite thing with the last episode, and honestly, I think that was the perfect way to end it.
It was.
Because
that's the weird
because the
thing.
fact that they bookended it with this stupid just weird, completely unrelated, but totally related shit of just... I don't know, man. I don't know how else they would have really ended it, because ending it on a heartwarming moment between, like, Hina and Nita would just be odd, I think.
Yeah.
Because the show has set this tone where it's like, it is very heartwarming and good, but it knows what it's doing, and it very much also knows that it likes to play around with that and just make things weird.
That's the thing. It subverts itself so much that you know that it will subvert itself. You just don't know how. And the fact that they decided to subvert their own fucking ending, it's just amazing.
Yep.
The fact that they're like, we're not even going to take this seriously.
I think it's funny the fact that the show started with that scene where we had no idea what the hell was going on.
And we still had no idea for the next 11 fucking episodes.
Yeah, and we didn't know. We were like, what the fuck is this? And then it was just like, oh, well, I guess this is a different show. And then...
Yeah, the closest that we got is we got the rock band dude, and we saw him in that intro, and then we see him later in like an episode with Hina, and we're like, oh fuck, how are they connected? And that's the only thing we got, and then we just didn't even see that guy for the rest of the fucking show.
It's kind of like how
it was the double bait and switch.
It's kind of like how Pop Team Epic started with the school idol kind of show, and then it just completely, like, it literally ripped that off the screen and went into the main show itself. And then it was only
it was
like,
similar.
Yeah. But I don't know, like, I mean, it's
I do want to point out though, the structure of the last episode was amazing. I loved the credits reel, like midway through the show with all of the gags. Like, like with the old Yakuza guy, like spraying Febreze on himself. Like,
yes.
Like that was just like a bunch of little segments like that where I'm just like, the little gags.
Yeah, it's the jokes. It's the jokes that they couldn't fit in, so they just made them like these tiny little one-offs, and they're really good.
Right. And they were related to the previous episodes where those, like, you know, the joke was similarly referenced. So, yeah.
Like the new president of the Yakuza clan and his like second or third lieutenant just watching a recording of that really shitty like 60 minutes.
Oh my god, that was
They
great.
had it fucking taped on the.
I know.
I love
It's
that.
just, yeah.
Oh,
it was such a nice way to cap off the show before getting into the real cap off of the show.
Yeah. That was the second bait and switch.
I would probably say that, like, what it reminded me most of is the fucking fake out that they had in Katana Gatari. The fact that they built up to this epic fight with this amazing and awesome swordsman with a glass sword, and then we just never get it.
Yep,
like,
it's all off screen.
It's all off screen. You never see it. In that same way, it's like they built up to this genuine and beautiful and very endearing, but also funny, perfect tone, just like the rest of the show, like ending with the credits and everything, and then all of a sudden we get fucking Castaway.
It's just that ends up just being this weird psychic kung fu movie.
Yeah. We go from Castaway to Kung Fu to, like, all of a sudden we finally come full circle whenever we realize that she's making her way back to Japan.
Yeah.
Fucking great.
God. It also, like, I'm a 12-year-old, but I laughed my ass off when she got on the plane and she was like, I can finally tell Ikaruga that I lost my balls.
It was intentionally supposed to be a stupid fucking joke, but
and I understand that, but it says something that a stupid joke like that hits delivery so well.
Yes,
and I'm just like, God damn it! It shouldn't make me laugh like this, but it does.
I lost my balls. It's like if you if you ended on a fart joke and it's just still funny because.
But that's the thing. It is so confident in how it approaches its humor.
Yeah.
because it knows it's funny. It knows it's doing this well. It knows that its script is so solid in its approach to it. I just I could just gush about how fucking funny this show is.
I desperately hope that Studio Feel is inclined to give us a second season like as soon as possible, because I just want more.
God, I would watch the show again. Like, it was just so funny.
I genuinely do. I want to find somebody that hasn't seen the show, and I want to sit down and watch it with them. Because I just want to see them
There's
laugh
nobody
at
that would not enjoy this show. It's
like
great.
It's very much like when you have a show that knows how good it is. Like, whenever you start getting into, like, late game Looney Tunes, when they've already won their Oscars. Like, they know what they're doing, and they're so confident in it, and they just can deliver on that so well, and it's just fucking hilarious.
But, yeah, I guess the thing is, I don't know what else I'd really say about this show, because, I mean, honestly, there's not a ton to say, except for the fact that it is a masterclass in humor.
Yeah.
It's really fucking good, and it has a lot of really touching, heartwarming moments, and honestly, the best thing that we can say about the show is just fucking watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Just stop what you're doing and watch it.
Yeah, it's absolutely worth your time.
I literally don't know what discussion we could have about this that would be so enlightening as opposed to just watching the show itself.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, God. Like, and honestly, as I said earlier, like, I didn't actually expect a whole lot. Like, I expected, kind of like what you were saying, Zach, I just expected it to kind of, like, fizzle out. Like, because a lot of these shows usually do fizzle out.
Yeah, I expected this to be my comfy show of the season. The one that nobody else is watching, but it's feel good, so I'll keep watching it.
And, you know, I actually didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did, but I love it. It's amazing. Like, it's great. Everyone should watch the show.
Like, and I mean, of all things, for a comedy show to get these kind of accolades from you is a testament to how good this show is and how genuinely funny it is, because I could count on my fingers how many comedy shows you've said that you've liked.
I am a freaking deadpan. I'm sorry, but they just don't work for me, like 99% of the time.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it.
And this is that 1%.
Not a ton that I'm really into.
This is the 1%.
Yeah. Like, it is up there with Tanaka-kun is Always Listless and Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun for me.
I would even argue that it's the way that it handles its comedy is comparable for me to Nichijou. Which is high praise. So. Which is high praise for me, because Nichijou is one of my all-time favorite comedy series of any medium, like not even anime. So
yeah, it handles its surrealist humor quite well.
Yeah.
So
and it knows how to tell a joke and how to deliver it, which is huge.
It's just good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about all I got for it.
As I said, there's probably about 100 million scenes that are just excellent, but just watch the show.
Yep. Us talking about what we found funny is not good radio.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like trying to. It's like if you took a joke from a comedian in their stand-up sketch and you told it back to somebody. It's not going to be as funny as if you just go ahead and watch it, because it speaks for itself and it's so good. So it would ruin it for us to talk about individual jokes with this show.
Yeah.
Does anybody know if there's gonna get a second season?
I don't know.
I haven't heard anything.
Damn.
Honestly.
Studio Feel, please.
Yep. You already made us feel with Yahari, and you made me feel something else with this.
Oh, yeah. They're good at making you feel.
Honestly, I've been impressed with like some of the shit that they have done before, like fucking Tsukigakure. Yeah,
oh my god,
which was spring last year and was a surprise hit for me. It's like they just like spring apparently. That was a genuinely good show. That was very confident in what it was doing.
Another good show, yeah.
Yeah.
They're really stepping up their game.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else anybody wants to hit on real quick?
I don't have anything else.
I don't really have anything else either. No.
So,
not really.
I do want to point out, by the way, that I want to compliment Studio Feel because they have come a long way from Mayochiki and Kiss X Sis.
Yeah,
oh my
some of their first works were not so.
I did not realize that was not even the same company. I'm sure it's none of the same like cast because like come on, they also did like Yahari, so like I doubt it's most of the same like people, but that's just fucking hilarious to think about.
They've probably gotten better in the recent years.
Oh yeah, Yahari, Tsukigakure, Hinamatsuri, like they've gotten better. I would even argue like Yauko-chan was a pretty confident show too, but I think I was the only person that watched that one.
I think Prado on Twitter was talking about some of the takes they were seeing about Studio Feel. Earlier.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. It's interesting. Anyway, yeah. They've come a long way for sure.
Fucking kiss that sis. All right. Anything else you guys want to do?
Anything else we want to do?
Yeah. Do you want to like turn this into really like a let's play or?
Let's turn it into a let's play.
Yeah, we'll do a radio drama. This is the second half of the podcast. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I'm done. That's all that I managed to get to watch this season. I am excited for this coming season. It looks like there might be some.
I've got a couple picked out.
Yeah, there's a few things that surprised me.
There's a handful that look interesting.
Yeah. That's about all I can say right now. That's coming from someone that's not seen anything, and I'm hearing very little about lots of shows. So I'm interested to delve into some shows that are not the isekai slavery show.
Man,
my gosh, that was gosh.
Yeah, how about we don't? We can save that.
We can save that for next time.
Oh, I will say one last thing because I forgot it and I just now saw it. Came out on Netflix. Aggretsuko. If you have not seen that, that is another comedy show that is 10 out of 10. Like, is so good. Have you guys managed to see that yet?
No, I know of it.
I know what it is, but yeah.
It is another one of those shows where Sanrio Company came out with a new and interesting idea, but unlike Sanrio Boys, they specifically like hired outside the company. I think they were even approached by a dude who was just like, "Can I do a show for you guys?" And they're like, "Sure." And then it was just one of the most gosh dang funniest things I've seen. It's so good and it's so real.
It sounds interesting.
It's also so fucking real with the way that it just 100% accurately portrays the workforce and the issues resolving around like having to exist within particular workforces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anyways, I just forgot about that, so I wanted to do that before we wrap up, but I'm good now. We can wrap up.
Alrighty.
All right.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. I guess we'll see everybody next time, which will hopefully shouldn't be too long because we're coming towards like the 3 or 4 episode mark.
4 it's coming, so you know.
We're a bit late on this one, but
couple weeks, you know.
Yep. But soon TM.
Soon TM.
All right. See you guys later. Bye.
Goodbye.
thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. I know it'd been a while since we had put out a podcast, so please forgive us about that. Life was pretty hellish for a bit there for all three of us, but we're back like Smash Brothers, and everybody's here. As always, you can find all our podcasts, articles, videos, etc. at thebacklogers.com. Our intro-outro song is The Bear by Shell in the Pit, you can find on Spotify as well as Bandcamp. And we'd love to hear from you all either in the comments on our site or any feedback you want to leave us on whatever podcast platform you like. iTunes, SoundCloud, or, just AIM us something? If you're stuck in the 90s? Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. And as always, we're on Twitter at @the_backloggers, so come hang with us. We love to talk with y'all, and legit, it's great to have some conversations with people online. It's one of the best feelings for us when we hear from y'all. See you later.